Blah, y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holders podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you want to hide from your drama, or maybe hide from your baby mama. Just kidding. But anyways, fans, staying tuned. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Chit. Y'all know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the outlet to reality. Also, don't forget to check out my book that just came out, Shabbat in Chicago. It's out on Amazon. It's about an audacious single mom who adopts five kids while embracing her Latino culture while being Jewish. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest. I had to bring him on. Give it up for the only Ari Hirsch.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, my friends. I do want to share a little bit on how we met, right? So, I went to study at the Kollel, and very interesting story. So I was supposed to study with Rabbi Meth, but he had to catch a flight, left, and so I was trying to find who can I study with, and I'm going to different rabbis, and it looks like they're all busy. And luckily, my Rebbe, Rabbi Fromowitz, who's one of my dearest friend, mentor, and rabbis, who I had on the podcast, he said, "Hey, you know what? Just study with me. A really nice guy. His name's Ari. It's gonna be a nice class. So if you get lost, don't worry. I'll get you back on track." He say, just come in. So I came in. That's when I met you, and we were studying about, like, if you have two brothers, and then, like, there was just like a scenario that I could remember, right? And you have two,
Right.
he had two sisters, and brother one, and there's brother two. But if brother one pass away and sister two pass away, and if they could marry each other, something like that. It was like the mitzvah
Right.
of what we're supposed to do. And it was nice because Ari was ahead of the game. He already knew what we were talking about, so he helped me get back on track. He's like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna give you a little sum up of what's going on." But yeah, it was a very interesting concept. I thought it was so deep. Things you don't think about, right?
Right.
What's the word it's called, like that mitzvah when it's
Yeah. It's called Yibum. Uh, right. Yeah. The whole concept is like carrying on your brother's legacy, basically, and like if he didn't have a chance to have kids, to really just carry on his name, give him that chance that he never had.
right, right. And like if your brother doesn't want you to marry the sister, right? Or sister, right? We would say sister-in-law.
Right.
Um, she will have to go through this. Um, I think it was like, I forgot to call, but it's like a ritual. She had to go through something to make her, like, you know, it's okay. She's ready to move on, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. They had this choice, right? Like either they could choose that they want to get married and like continue on that legacy, or if they're like this is not going to work for us, they could do that separate ritual and basically like that way they can go marry separate people and move on with their lives. um yeah, so they have those two choices, two different mitzvahs that they could do.
Yeah, it was deep,
Yeah.
man. See, I
Yeah.
really got me thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And there's like a million different cases that we were going through also, like different scenarios of like different possibilities of like how people are related and stuff like that. um, yeah, so it gets pretty complicated.
And what stood out from that class that you could remember, like, that night?
Um, I mean, I was pretty impressed that you were like you just like jumped in. Like I've been learning with Rabbi Bromwich for like a while now, and like I was already like up to speed on like what was going on, but like you like jumped in and you like got it right away. So that was pretty impressive. You were like, yeah, you got all the things that we were talking about. So it was pretty cool.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh man, but it was a lot like to take in. Like, you know what's interesting? This is shocking, right? We're talking about sisters and brothers. My father, when he divorced my mom, he actually married a so he married a woman, right? Who happens to be, it's a sad story, but it's just thinking about sister. Well, he married my babysitter, sad story. He divorced my mom, married my babysitter, and my grandfather got divorced and married the sister of my babysitter.
Oh wow.
So they did almost like they literally did
Yeah.
the same. It's not a, I wouldn't say it's a, but they did the wrong way to do things. They did it
Right.
backwards,
Right. They did the opposite. That
Right. That was a sad story. That's the only thing I could think of in that scenario when we
Yeah.
were, discussing about the mitzvah. I told you, man, it's heavy.
Yeah.
I got chills, man. I got the
For
chills,
sure.
but I love it. And can I ask you something? So I know you said you know Rabbi Fromowitz for a while. Like how long and how did you guys meet?
Right. So I only moved to Vegas a little over 3 years ago. Um, so I mean, I guess that was pretty much when I met Rabbi Fromwitz was when I moved here back a few years ago. I actually moved during COVID, so like it was like a process meeting everybody here in the community, because everything was on lockdown. But yeah, that's really when I met him, probably a few years ago. Um, Happens to be like I think I know like a couple of his family members from LA. I'm originally from LA, so but yeah, the first time I officially met him was probably like 3 years ago.
Wow. And you gotta admit, he's like a genius, man.
Oh
He's
yeah,
so smart.
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, just sitting and learning with him, like he knows it right away. He's like, I'm learning from him. It's awesome.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And so, brothers, please tell us, like, this is your moment. Tell us how you were saying you were from LA, you moved to Vegas. What made you or gave you the idea of moving? Like, it was someone said something, or you had a vision, I had a dream, I had a dream, or what
Yeah,
was it? You know what I'm saying?
for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, so the main reason was I got married during COVID, and my wife was in nursing school. So the main reason for the move to Vegas was a nursing school here in Vegas that my wife liked, because she was in nursing school on the East Coast in New Jersey, and during COVID everything got like messed up. So and she was online, and then she ended up deciding that she wanted to move out to we weren't married yet, but she wanted to move out to the West Coast. At that, so and her plans switched, so she started looking into like some colleges here, and happened to be a good one in Vegas. So and I kind of wanted to stay on the West Coast also. So and LA wasn't really like, it ended up being Vegas was like the best overall option. It was close by to LA, so we're close to family still, but good school for her and all that stuff. Um, so really, originally we were supposed to live on the East Coast. I was going to move to the East Coast until she was done with school, but because COVID hit, kind of like switched all our plans around, and we were able to stay here on the West Coast. So school would probably be the main reason, and close to family, those two things.
Wow.
Yeah.
And tell us, look, behind you, it's amazing, amazing steaming, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's kind of burning. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh man,
Yeah,
but
that's how I stay fresh all the time. You know what I'm saying?
right. I can see it. I can see it. I
Yeah.
didn't know if you were an angel. I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? But look, brother, I want to ask, right? You are the founder. You've been on television, been on different podcasts. On your company, if you can share about that, how you got into it, and if anybody inspired you, tell us the process.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll give you a little background, on like myself a little bit before, and then how I got into it. So I mean, I've always been like very creative. I always loved like creating, like building. Just it was always my dream to like create. So actually in like high school, I was dead set on going into like engineering. I was like, I love designing. I want to build. I want to create, whatever. So I was like, and everyone was telling me like go into engineering. So I was like, fine. So I like took a little bit of that in high school. Um, and like my parents are also very entrepreneurial. So like I kind of like it was kind of like instilled in me a little bit, from then. So I had it like in me a little bit. I never got started in it yet. No one in my family really, was an entrepreneur to this extent, but it was there. So I definitely I was surrounded by that environment. And then yeah, I mean, after high school, I basically graduated. I studied abroad for a year. I went to Israel. Um, so I did a year abroad before coming back to LA to continue college and engineering. I had a chance to like travel Europe. I did like a bunch of different countries, and that's really where like I have a whole book of ideas. I don't know if I have it near me right now, but I have like a whole book of stuff that every time I have an idea, I draw it, I write it down, all that stuff. But yeah, the idea came from a problem I had just studying abroad because I was traveling a lot. I had to wear nice clothing a lot of the time, and yeah, the idea just popped into my head because I was like, "There's no good like portable solution, especially for like a college guy. Like, I'm a lazy guy in a dorm. Like, I burnt my pants with an iron the first time. I'm not standing there steaming and ironing every single piece of clothing that I have. And when I'm traveling, there's like no good option. So, and also like when you're on a budget, there's you're not paying for dry cleaning every 5 seconds. It also gets expensive. So that's where the idea popped into my head. I'm like, I need a good solution, to have freshly steamed clothing. That way I can look nice. My clothes don't look like garbage. When after I wash them or they're packed in the suitcase, after a flight. So my brain just started spinning. I'm like, how do I accomplish that? And I realized like everywhere I was going, I had a garment bag in my suitcase. Like a lot of the nicer clothing I would put in the garment bag so it stayed nice. I was like, if it would be really cool if I could unpack my garment bag from my suitcase, just hang it, and my garment bag steams my clothing for me. So that's where the idea came. Came to me. It was like it just popped into my head. I was like, I have the garment bag already. It would be really cool. That would be a cool concept. But at that point, I was like traveling. I wasn't like ready to start a business then. So I wrote it down. I made like a little sketch video. Like I drew it on my iPad or whatever, and made like little animated video. And I showed it like kind of like in a joking way to like my friends and like to show it to people because I was like, oh, this is a cool idea. What do you think? Showed it to some random people sitting next to me on my flights, to get their opinion. And everyone thought it was cool. So I went on the rest of that year. When I came back, I started in engineering back in LA. And in my first semester in college in LA, I just for some reason I decided I'm like, this is a cool concept. I'm just I'm just gonna start doing my research, like to see if this is even like if I can even create this, like is it even possible? Because like everything that exists right now, they're big devices. You have electricity, all this crazy stuff. Like, how do I create something like in a garment bag, like something small enough that can accomplish everything that I want, that's travel friendly? It was definitely like, it was a weird concept that never existed yet. In the steaming and ironing space. So I actually ended up hating engineering in college. So after the first semester, I dropped out. Like I dropped all my classes. I'm like, I'm out. I hated it. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like in this limbo stage. And at that same time, I was like already like starting to like do that research for my product. And I sat down with like a college counselor, and she told me, she's like, why don't you you like being creative, you like all this stuff, finances, whatever. Why don't you just switch to your business degree? And the idea of that at that time was maybe going into some sort of finance or whatever, and just going into business. And by doing that, I can still kind of like go onto that entrepreneur path and like still get to create and do what I love, but kind of like take out the engineering aspect of it and whatnot. So I was like, fine, I continued doing that. And at that point, that's when I like really started seriously, building this product. I was doing tons of research. I was like every possible way to create steam, the temperatures, all the different materials and stuff that needed to be used. I literally researched everything. I created different like versions of it. I built it all in my bathroom at my parents' house, like where I was living. Like I was like one of those mad scientists, like literally just I was buying just different things and like creating it in my bathroom,
Whoa.
like on my own. I built the entire product on my own from scratch. Um, and so yeah, I was literally like I would go to the supermarket, buy a bag of shredded cheese, like empty it out, cut the bag, like doing all that type of stuff. Um, I was using like my sister's hair iron to seal things. It's crazy. So yeah, I made different versions. I made, the version like you see behind me. I made ones with coils in a garment bag. I made different versions of different possible ways to heat up water and create steam in a garment bag. And I basically narrowed it down until I like decided, okay, this is the best option. Accomplishes everything that I want in the product. I needed it to be travel friendly, safe. The whole point was for it to be a portable solution that you could bring anywhere with you, and be easier than what it currently exists. Like if you have to stand there doing it still, then there's no point. So after creating this version, I was like, okay, this is I was like, bingo, this is like the version. This is like exactly what the product needs to be. So I like continued modifying it, testing materials, how to, the amount of minerals and stuff that need to be inside to react with the water, like, all that stuff. I had to create the best possible, version of the product. So it took some testing and different versions of it. And then, yeah, and then that's how this product came to life basically. So create this pod that you basically just add water to, creates that reaction with the chemicals inside, which heats up the water within like 15 to 30 seconds, and it fills the garment bag with steam and gets the wrinkles out of your clothing for you.
Whoa.
And then basically from there, just a bunch of product development from there. So it's making the product better, creating flavors, different scents. So like the whole concept, the whole idea here is like my company right now is like just coming out with a bunch of different laundry products. I want to create like a whole portable dry cleaning kit basically. Like you can steam your clothes. I have a spray in there, add a stain remover, put the scents in, so like you get this whole fresh laundry experience like when you travel somewhere, or even at home. Like within 3 minutes, you can have like this amazing fresh smelling shirt like right out of the garment bag. That's the whole background of like how I got started with this. Um, yeah, and how the product came to life. So
Wow. What
yeah.
a story, man. You sound
Yeah.
like Bill Gates, stuck
I'm
in
not
his
I'm not there
garage.
yet, but
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Stuck in the
Yeah.
garage. I don't know if it was Bill Gates or the guy who made what's it called? It was Bill Gates, and there was another guy who was a genius too, who was in the garage and making like their own
Yeah.
invention. I name, but you remind me so much because that's a lot of time, commitment, and discipline to like. Because I mean, there had to be some times you're like, man, is this really gonna work? Like, gonna have a lot of mistakes, trials, and you're like, tomorrow be better, and then you're trying again.
For
It's
sure. Yeah.
that's how life
Yeah.
is.
100%. I had those all the time. Like I probably had a million times throughout this entire process where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna shut this down. Like I can't do this anymore. Or like, you get bad feedback from somebody. It's like there's tons of moments where you're like, where it gets really hard and you have to like push through to continue pursuing, this dream, the product that you're creating. It takes a lot of belief in your product and yourself to really follow through with it. And that's what the statistics are. It's like I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's like 90 something percent of businesses fail because, just, I mean, either sometimes there's bad products and sometimes it's the person running the company because they just don't believe in it and they don't have the drive to follow through. Because there's a lot of tough times, it's not easy.
That's true.
Um, yeah.
Wow. And were there any like mentors that you can think of, or like people look up to, that basically, you know, was there for you, like encouraged you to keep going, that you could remember?
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, throughout the whole, I mean, I think there was more than one, I guess, throughout the process. It started. I mean, my first mentors were obviously my parents. I mean, I wouldn't have done this without them. I mean, like my parents were both there helping me, like, you know, because I was just like I was 19 years old when I started this. So I knew not, like I was like in the beginning of my life. I was like that was my beginning of my adulthood. Like just starting my life. Like I didn't have any business experience, like anything, no connections. So like my parents were there to like help me, get connected to people, help me answer questions, things that I didn't know from their experience. Just being in business for longer than obviously I have. So my parents were obviously my first biggest mentors. Um, and then after that, I slowly was able to bring on investors, connect to other big business people, and kind of learn from them. Now I have a few investors part of the company. I have a couple board members, big CEOs of different companies that are part of my company. So I have them to really look up to and like really learn from, because they've done it. So the best thing you could do is surround yourself by the people that you want to be, that you aspire to be to. Like so. It's really about surrounding yourself by good people. Um, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing, man. It's that's one thing that I haven't found yet is I'm still like, you know, I, I'm still searching. I say I'm still making new connections, networking, but that's one thing I have a goal. Like, one of my good mentors taught me there's five things you need in life, to be a successful, um, person. The first thing they said, you gotta have a good lawyer because if something goes wrong, you got backup. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
The second is you gotta have a good doctor because if you're, let's say something medically, like, or you just need help, your doctor's there. You can count on him
Right.
for any moment. Even if it's last minute, they're closed, he got your back. A third one he said was, um, someone who's in the politician realm, right? A political person. Because let's say someone's trying to bring you down, like the news, the media, he can help your image, right? He could be like, oh, that's my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Ari's my guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And and it's a really good point. And then the he also said you gotta have, like a guidance, right? Someone who's spiritually, like a spiritual leader, whether it's your Rebbe, someone you can go to that can help you in your faith and grow, and also a therapist, someone who's not biased, who just hears you out. It's interesting. When I found my therapist, he helped me, basically solve, um what I was trying to go through and figure out what I should do. Without him saying it, he helped me figure it out by asking the questions. And it was so cool. It was like
Right.
it was like wicked. It was I don't know how to explain it. And it's a good thing because, as a guy, we're used to not express ourselves. Um it's just sad that's how society kind of raises. We're not allowed to express our emotion. And if we do, we just walk away or we confront. Um, but that helps me to, you gotta cool down. You
Yeah.
gotta cool down.
For
It's
sure.
you don't want to be on TMZ or Channel 8 and you gotta keep it cool, keep it cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the investor, that's the next thing. I think that's the last thing I'm missing because so basically I have a podcast, right? This is one of my, and I can share this with you because you're my brother. So I have a podcast that, I was one of the first, um Latino Jews to start, a podcast to give a voice, to Latino Jews that are not represented in the media. Um, so ever since, like, first, I did it, and now people are supporting out from New York, from different parts, now having their own podcast. But what makes mine really different compared to most podcaster is that I have a lot of like celebrities, rabbis, um, people all different walks of life. But the thing is, oh, me being an average Joe, I'm not gonna say I'm this big because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But me being an average Joe who basically found these connections and brought them on the podcast, where when it's not when it's like impossible. Like I share with you when we met in the hallway, I was like, brother, Ari, I'll be bringing in rabbis that they only have a kosher phone. And for those who don't know, kosher phone means no Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google. You don't got none of that. All you guys a flip phone, and all you could do is call, just make a phone call or text. That's it. And so it's just so cool that I'm able to bring these rabbis, right, into the podcast. Um, bring, different, like I said, like celebrities that are big timers, tell stories that we don't hear about. I like to, as a journalist, because in a way I'm like a journalist, you want to catch the story before it gets big. And here's another thing that's really interesting. So in my podcast, I always share a story in the beginning. My intro is so unique. I don't know how it came out. It just came out. You know, all that. You know what I'm saying? But that's one thing I'm trying to do is to push it more. I think that's the last thing to believe product, because what I'm really doing is I'm teaching young people and anybody who's watching, basically about the main three keys that I always like to bring back to is like faith, relationship, and mental health. That's the main three. Sometimes I throw in some music or interesting stuff, but that's my main key. Their path, or maybe um, they're stuck in this problem they have, or they're not sure if they should buy in real estate. This is the place to answer your question. You know what
For
I'm saying?
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you're building a great platform to just, of information and for people to connect, in a great way. That's awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And I gotta say, I'm happy to say this. Studying with you that one time, it was just a great class. I can't even tell you how much I'm happy that I got to meet you. And it's so funny, Rabbi Alkabis, he was walking out. He goes, "Man,
Yeah.
you gotta have him on the podcast. This guy's a
Right.
real, he's a real
It
deal.
was like
He's the
it
real
was
deal."
perfect timing. It happened to be when you came up to me to let me know about it.
Yeah.
He came up and he was like,
Remember, right? You remember?
yeah, yeah,
Oh man, it's amazing, brother. It's amazing. And brother, if I can ask you, right, you being um, now you have the Instasteam, right? Is there any big goals you want now? Like, what do your future plans that you want for your company that, you know, because I know you have goals, brother. I know
for
it's
sure.
not dreams. I
Yeah,
know, I know the real
yeah,
stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
absolutely. Yeah, I have a couple goals. I mean, in terms of business, obviously, this is my main company. I'm always, as an entrepreneur, I'm always working and thinking of other things. But my goal specifically for this company is really to grow this, is to really grow this into a huge company at some point. Probably either sell it at some point down the line, or my goal is really to not. This is not supposed to be like a small company. It's a small side business. This is meant to be like a billion-dollar business at some point. So that's really the goal. In terms of the business, it's really just keep growing it, expanding the product line. I want to make this into like a household, product, around the world, which is what we're doing right now. So it's just a lot of growth going on. But in terms of personal goals, I mean, the main reason, that I push so hard for like, to be successful, and it's not that I don't go after the money. Like that's like I can care, it's a nice thing, but it's not like something I really care that much about. For me, it's more about, I get very emotional about helping, other people. I get very emotional about charity and stuff like that. So the main focus for me is to be able to get myself to a point where I can just continue helping as many people as possible. So, I think I would say that the number one drive to be successful in business is so that I can go back and help other people. Because it's not for me. Like, if it was for me, like, I'd sit back and relax at some point and be like, I'm good. I don't need to make more money at some point. At some point, money doesn't. At some point, it's just numbers. Whether you have $1 million or 50 million or a billion, like, you're living a nice life. So, but the main drive for me is to really use that to do good things for other people. That's why I push so hard to be successful and continue growing, everything that I have. So yeah, that's really my goal, is just to get to that point where I can, I never like to say no to anybody. If someone comes to me and says, we're raising money for this, or like there's this family in need, or like, whatever the situation is, I never want to say no. That's my goal. So that's probably the main thing.
Love it. I love it, brother.
Yeah.
That's deep. That's deep, man.
Yeah.
You're hitting home. You're hitting home. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Well, look, brother, I'm gonna wrap it up. Guys, this is the Outlet to Reality, the oldest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Y'all know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the Outlet to Reality. My Snapchat is Take One Pass It. Take one. My Instagram is the Outlet to Reality. And guys, real quick, don't forget to check out my book, Shabbat in Chicago. It's out on Amazon. And Ari, where can my fans find you?
I'm on all social media, so wherever you wanna, whatever works for you. Instagram, LinkedIn. For business people, LinkedIn's awesome. And I'm on Instagram also. You could search probably Ari Hirsch or Mr. Instasteam, whatever. There's different names. And then yeah, I'm happy to connect with people all the time. And then yeah, you check out the website, instasteampod.com. It's really not that hard to find me. Either on social media or on Google, I'm sure you'll find one way to contact me. So yeah.